Alright, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going today? I am Is There Known Else, and I'm going to be going through the 5.1.2 patch notes. Wanted to provide an update for this week for you guys. I will be going through the individual class updates. However, I wanted to wait a couple weeks because, as you guys all know, the first couple of weeks of the PTS are very, they can fluctuate a lot. And so I didn't want to post a bunch of updates for like the 5.1.0 patch notes and then all of a sudden they change the next week and I have to do it all over again. After these patch notes, things should be more or less finalized. They'll change a couple of things, but I'll be able to post the class stuff more in depth at that point. So I'm gonna start doing that probably tomorrow. I have a couple of gear set reviews and I wanted to go through like stam healing first. So I'll probably try and tackle those today. But this video is the 5.1.2 patch notes. We're going to go through it. I just started reading some of them. Imperial City Celebration, Combat and Gameplay. Many item sets introduced or reworked in this update will receive additional balance tweaks in a future PTS patch. These adjustments are intended to better align the sets with power budget standards we've established for item sets and allow more counterplay, particularly with the Resurrection sets. Hidden Blade and its morphs will receive some adjustment to how brutality is granted, and Flying Blade will get a targeting responsiveness improvement to activate its special teleport. This change will be in a future PTS patch. Alright. Maelstrom Dual Wield set is currently enabling too much damage with the dot refactor. It will be adjusted to tone down the total weapon and spell damage, but will get some improvements to its usability and a fluid rotation. This change will be in a future PTS patch. Alright. Soul Splitting Trap currently bypasses our single target rule set, making it far stronger than other options. Correct. This is a known increase and will be adjusted this ability in a future patch to bring it more in line with standards. Yes. As it currently stands, Soul Splitting Trap should be on just about every PvP build in the game when this PTS or when this DLC drops, because of the fact that it hits so hard and it can hit up to 6 people. So it's just very, very powerful. Sorcerers currently lack an ability they can utilize to heal their allies with supplemental powers, such as heal over time. We have some adjustments to the power surge morph of Surge in a future update to help grant them such a tool. You know, Okay, so here's all I'm going to say about this. You know, it's not me ragging on sorcerers having a cool passive ability. This is fine. You know, each class should have. Sorry, the way it's been in the past, and obviously this is years ago. But DKs had damage over time effects and tankiness, and so they didn't have much burst because they had the dots and they had the survivability. Nightblades had burst, but they were squishy. You know, Sorks, more or less. You know, through most patches, they've literally had everything. Templars they're very similar to DKs in that they're tanky and they have a lot of dots, but they did provide them some burst. And so Templars are that kind of middle ground for survivability, but no mobility. And now it's just, you know, things have gotten a lot more homogenized. You know, everything, like, everybody has access to Major Expedition, which is great. Everybody has access to all these utility skills, which is great. And so it makes sense to me that they're going to provide these abilities to all classes, you know, so every class has an ability to be tanky or provide off healing or whatever. Like, it makes sense. But, you know, that just kind of means that class design is more based off of, like, it's not based off of, like, those strict rules of, like, DKs being dots plus tanky. You know, it's based off of the skills that they have. So their class utility is what their abilities provide. So I'm not against this. It's just, you know, we're slowly seeing this shift. You know, it's not just this one. It's exactly what they did to the Nightblades with Merciless Resolve last patch. You know, the Spectral Bow, instead of providing 8% more damage, they provided it with 15% damage mitigation. So they took away some burst aspect and they made them a lot more tanky for, like, no reason. So, yeah, we're going to slowly start seeing more and more of this, I think. Combat and abilities. Earth and Heart. Corrosive Armor. This is a huge change because we were just talking about it in a previous video. The penetration granted from this ability now only applies to the ability itself and direct damage attacks or channeled attacks like Flurry. If you'd like more insight on this change, please read the developer comment under the two-handed onslaught changes, which has similar adjustments. So I discussed Corrosive and Onslaught in my video a couple days ago, and I said that both these were very powerful. Anybody that duels knows that Corrosive Armor builds are just nasty with dots. With the new and improved dots that they came out with, like Soul Splitting Trap, that was going to make Corrosive Armor dot builds even more powerful. This makes complete sense to me. Like, your direct damage attacks will now only be affected by penetration instead of like stacking a bunch of dots and just dotting people down. I actually like this change quite a bit for Corrosive and Onslaught. Because as I said before, Onslaught was going to be broken as shit under its current setup. You could run a bunch of dots, and then you would just have 16 seconds of pen, and you were just going to be able to dot people down, and it was going to be stupid. But this makes a lot more sense. So now only, like, you know, your Venomous Claw and your Noxious Breath have direct damage aspects to it, so that will ignore pen, but then the damage over time effect will not. And so channeled attacks like Flurry, channel attacks like Flurry, or if for whatever reason you're using Soul Assault, that should also ignore pen, I'm pretty sure. So, not that you're using Soul Assault, but I was just thinking of another channel attack. Ardent Flame. Rank 2 of this passive now increases the duration of the affected abilities by 4 seconds, up from 2. It also increases the damage dealt to the abilities by 10%, up from 3. These changes were done to ensure these abilities keep up with our current dot standards and to help emphasize the Dragon Knight's more attrition-based combat style. Okay. So just a bigger Searing Strike. This is Searing Strike and Venomous Claw. This is what this is. So they buffed this ability. Nightblade, Siphoning Drain Power, Sap Essence, increased the healing from this ability by 23.3% since it was missing rank up progression and was being reduced by 20%. If you fail to hit a target with the damage of this ability, this also fixes the issue where casting the ability in rapid succession while hitting no targets would decrease the heal by 20% per cast until it would reach 100% and stop healing. So, Nightblade Bombers are getting another buff. So, as I said before, guys, Nightblade Bombing is going to be so much fun next patch. It's possible that half the campaign is going to all be Nightblade Bombers because they're all looking at the exact same thing, but we will see. Daedric Summoning, Conjured Ward. Increased the shield size limit from this ability and the Empowered Ward morph to 50% of your max health from 40%. Hardened Ward is increased to 60% from 50%. Yeah, I would like to know. If you'd like additional insight to these changes, please read the developer comment under the light armor annulment changes, which has similar adjustments. Yeah, I want to know why we're buffing wards. So yeah, apparently they're buffing wards, and apparently they are getting rid of Corrosive. So we just have to find out, I guess, lower down in the patch notes. Arctic Wind updated the heal from this ability. Initial heal now scales off 25% of your max health, up from 15%. That's pretty big. While the heal over time scales off 3% of your max health, down from 5%. Okay. Green Balance Healing Seed. This morph, Budding Seeds now introduce a heal over time while the area of effect grows. If the ability is consumed early, this heal over time is also consumed. Okay. Dizzying Swing. This morph will now rank up in damage once again rather than stun duration due to an error where ranks 2 through 4 would cause animation errors with the stun. Alright. Momentum. This ability and its morphs no longer grant major evasion for their duration and will instead grant minor endurance. Originally, the major evasion was meant to grant two-handed a more natural source of major evasion, a powerful tool that is meant to help stamina-focused characters survive deadly attacks that bypass their primary means of survival, roll dodge. However, this led to a situation where momentum felt too good to pass up and was eclipsing other skills that also grant the bonus. Yep. So, eventually I'm going to get into a video talking about... I wanted to talk about like what this patch is going to look like, and you know, I've talked about it in the past, but I felt like AOE abilities shouldn't hit as hard as single target abilities. I think we can all pretty much agree with that. Like, you shouldn't, as an example, if I look at my Nightblade and unbuffed, you know, my surprise attack is hitting for roughly 10k, my power extraction is hitting for 9300. And so my power extraction is an AoE, and it's only hitting 700 less than my surprise attack. So in some situations, it's like, why would I run surprise attack and lag when I can guarantee a strike with power extraction every single time? You know, Steel Tornado does more damage, especially at lower health, than like Dizzying Swing. You know, I hit harder whirling blades, then I hit harder dizzying swings. And those sorts of things just don't make a lot of sense to me. And so seeing momentum get major evasion, and literally every stamina class is going to have it, it was like, okay, well, all these abilities that hit as hard or harder than single target are now getting nerfed 25% naturally. But it created this imbalance. Why do stam classes have all these abilities to negate AoE damage, and Magicka classes do not? Everybody has access to forward momentum, but not everybody's going to. You know what I mean? Like, most Magicka classes aren't going to run momentum or something that gives them major evasion. So it makes sense. And so now they get minor endurance, which should be stamina recovery. That makes sense. Onslaught, physical and spell penetration from this ability now only apply to direct damage or channeled attacks like Flurry. All right, so if you're using Onslaught, you can't run a dot-based build. Rest in peace, my Magicka DK idea that was going to be broken as shit, but I like it. Reduce the final duration to 12 seconds from 16 seconds. Let's see the developer's comment, because it's also covering Corrosive. These changes were done to reduce situations where you could simply stack multiple damage over time effects on an enemy, activate this ability, and freely reap the benefits of ignoring a target's mitigation. The power goal of these abilities are meant to empower you to smash your opponent to bits rather than speed up the process of slowly killing them. Please note that some item sets have not received an audit yet to properly flag them as direct damage or damage over time, and may have behaved strangely with this mechanism. I like these changes a lot. This makes Onslaught and Corrosive a lot more balanced. If you want to run Corrosive, you're going to probably want to stack into like a Dizzy style build, where you're hitting really hard with a direct damage ability. The way it looks right now is if you're running a 2H, you're going to run Dizzy. If you're running dual wield, you're going to run you're going to run Flurry. If you're running Sword and Shield, you're going to want to use Power Slam. And so those hard-hitting abilities will now ignore resistances, and you actually have to, you can't just dot people down and, laugh after they die from 10 seconds from not being able to heal. So these make a lot of sense to me. Like, I think this makes a lot of sense. I think it brings Onslaught and Corrosive more in line with other ultimates, where currently you could just run Nern Maelstrom or Master's Axes with a Master's 2H and just dot people up and pop Corrosive and watch them die instantly. So I like this change quite a bit. This is a huge change that still provides power to the ultimate, but doesn't make them the clear go-to for literally every single build in the game. So I like that. Restoration, Staff, Grand Healing. Illustrious Healing. Increase the healing particle of this ability by approximately 50% to better distinguish each morph. One focus on resource sustain, one focus on raw healing potential. Destruction Staff. Flame Clench. This is the short range one. Fix an issue where the target hit by this ability's knockback would appear to end their stun animation before the stun ended. This ability will no longer rank up in stun duration, will once again rank up in damage per rank, which was causing the desync. Increase the base stun duration to 3 seconds from 1.5. Trifocus. Fix an issue where this passive was not activating area of effect damage while using a heavy attack with the Lightning Staff. Alright. Light Armor. Annulment. Increase the shield size limit for this ability in the Harness Magicka morph to 50% of your max health from 40%. Dampen Magicka increases to 60% from 50%. So, shields are getting buffed. Let's see why. The changes with Magicka-based damage shields were done to increase the shield strengths in situations where the caster is focusing more into increasing their effectiveness by specializing more stats into them, since they now require more Magicka to increase their size than they needed in previous updates. Okay. Changes with since they now require more Magicka to increase their size than they needed in previous updates. So did they like secret stealth nerf how much these stack? So why are we buffing the overall cap if it's harder to get to? I'm still not sure why we're buffing shields. So I understand that the Pirate Skeleton nerf is a very nice nerf to wards, but currently the tankiest 1vx class in the game, like in the Elsewhere patch, is any light armor build wearing Pirate Skeleton. Using Harness Magicka and Pirate Skeleton. Those are the tankiest 1vx classes in the game. Their survivability is better than any other Stam class besides basically Stam DK. and that's because of the cauterized changes, their major mending, the lack of major defile. Like they nerf major defile quite a bit, so that buffs DK healing quite a bit. So only DKs are really on par with the survivability of like literally any Magicka class wearing Pirate Skeleton and high resistance wards. And so they nerf Pirate Skeleton, which is great. And they're providing more damage over time effects, which is great. And they nerfed Harness Sustain, so Harness Sustain is going to impact overall damage, which is great. However, I don't know why they needed to buff the shield, because they're also buffing healing. So you have increased healing with Healing Ward, as well as Mutagen or Rapid Regen, and now you have Harness Magicka, which is up to 50% of your mag. I disagree with this. That's all I'm saying. Like I want to see what the healing changes are. But now you have heals and you have shields. I don't know about that. Necrotic Orb, Combustion, okay. Itemization, Glyph of Bashing. These enchants will now grant weapon spell damage to your bash instead of only weapon damage. Increase the potency of these enchants by 21%. All right, bash builds needed a buff, so there we go. Night Flame, this item set now has a 10% chance to proc on healing, up from 5%. Why? Increase the cooldown to 10 seconds from 6 seconds. Okay, so increase cooldown. Fix an issue where the set could critically strike. Okay. Reduce the healing. Okay, so I'm sorry. I overreacted. That's my bad. Bogdan is ridiculous currently. Like it's very, very powerful. So increasing the proc set chance was a little annoying to see, because it was literally up all the time. So increase the cooldown to 10 seconds from 6 seconds. That's a pretty big nerf. Basically offsets the proc chance. And then fix an issue where the set could critically strike, so that's another nerf. And then reduce the healing per tick by approximately 27%, so another nerf. So, yeah, so you basically just can't have 100% uptime on Bogdan, which is nice. Once it's off cooldown, it was basically up again. Reduce the healing per tick of this item set by approximately 5%. Reduce the stamina per tick to 500 from 524. Okay. 7th Legion. This item set can now only be activated from casting an ability that increases your resistances, instead of any time your resistances increase. This means that things such as passives, potions, or poisons can no longer trigger this effect. Alright, so I tested this last week, and Nightblades, using their Shadow, using an ability that grants their Shadow Barrier, was proccing 7th Legion. And so you're using an ability to up your resistances. So technically, I'm going to check it once the PTS is fully updated. But that means 7th Legion should work. But things like Bloodspawn and Bogdan and other things that give you resistances, or potions and poisons, can no longer proc 7th Legion. So it has to be a skill that you activate instead of, like a proc set like Bloodspawn. So we'll go test that this week. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do a video on it, but it's worth checking out. Fix an issue where casting Hurricane could proc the set multiple times. Fix an issue where the health recovery from the set was not properly applying. I posted that little clip as well. Thunderous Volley. This item set will now retain its bonus. Blah, 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 blah. Alliance War and PvP. When you enter an Alliance Lock campaign, you will now have several warning messages upon entering the campaign notifying when the Alliance Lock will occur. Excellent. Alright, combat and gameplay with monsters, crafting economy, blah, 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 Witches Festival, housing, UI, and that's it. So, would have liked to see a Healing Ward nerf. We'll double check. Healing Ward is obviously still, if anybody went and watched Nesquik's video, Healing Ward is fucked right now. It is way too powerful, and then with stacking shields even higher, Healing Ward and Harness, or Healing Ward and Conjured Ward, are going to be insane. So basically, like, the way it stands right now, every Magicka class is a pet sort, because they're going to have ridiculous heals with ridiculous wards. I like to see some adjustments to that, but overall, like I said, I like these patch notes. I like a lot of the, since they've came out with changing how, when they changed the class passive, or the racial passives, every patch since then has been pretty good for the most part. They've completely fucked some things. Like Incapacitating Strike, they completely messed up. They made it stupid, broken, overpowered by allowing it to silence people for 3 seconds, but then they made it retarded to use by allowing free CC immunity. They've done a couple things like that. Elsewhere patch is really solid, but the thing is all it takes is one stupid broken mechanic to completely fuck PvP. That's all it takes. So if all of a sudden a Bash ultimate is nuking 15 plus people because it can hit for 5k plus every half second, it makes PvP toxic and unplayable for a little bit because there's nothing anybody can do to it. And so those things are going to happen when you have this big of patch notes. You're going to have these issues. 95% of these are good. However, right now, the Healing Ward and Harness and Conjured Ward combinations are looking scary strong. Like that, they're looking very, very powerful, and it's going to be upsetting to fight any sort of magic class as it currently stands in the Scalebreaker DLC. Now, obviously, we have a couple more weeks of the PTS, and so they need to look at these adjustments and how those things like synergize. But those are the things that I'm a little nervous about. And the problem, and the thing with it is they knew about the Bash Ultimate right away, and they didn't react quickly enough. And they have habitually, since I've played this game, not reacted quickly to broken aspects of the game, and we end up having like these broken issues for 2-3 months before they come in and say, hey, we recognize this, we're going to fix it. This needs to be fixed before you release this patch. Like this type of healing is insane. Like go watch Nesquik's video. He got a 20k heal off of 1 tick of Healing Ward. That's retarded strong with the amount of resistances you have with wards. So hopefully they look at these things, because overall, like I said, like 90 to 95% of this patch I really like, but all it takes is those 1 or 2 things. So if they can up their response time to these things that really can impact PvP and adjust them, then it won't be as frustrating to deal with, and it won't give as many players anxiety, because because if these things go live, like if you're on Xbox and PlayStation, you're like, oh shit, well I got to deal with this for 2 months now. Like that's basically what it is. I have to deal with this for 2 months because they didn't fix it before it released. So hopefully they adjust those. But overall, like I said, I like all these changes. I'd like to see. I don't know why they increased shield size, but